Pike's pushed more and far enough ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Hello everybody and welcome to Suzuka for round 3 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge here in season number 14. We've started off our season of course with 2 great rounds over in the United States, but now it's time for our first Asian round of the season. There are not many of them this time around, so we'll savour it while it lasts. In fact, this is the only Japanese circuit of iRacing's complement that we're going to be racing on throughout this season. For an hour, of course, in just a few moments' time once this qualifying session is completed. It's myself, Ewan Leary, and James Parfitt along with me for this one again. And last time out, or 2 weeks ago, I was about to say last week, 2 weeks ago indeed, at Watkins Glen, we saw quite a race, a very enjoyable race, but one that I think these drivers will be glad to have behind them. The rain falling at the start of the day, it went away a little bit through the middle. Some plunked for the dry tyres. It didn't end up being the right call, but it was a great race with those different tyre choices to be made. Doesn't look like we're going to get weather again here, but I suspect some of the drivers will be pleased about that.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, when you've just come from Watkins, which, as you said, wasn't exactly ideal for some of these guys, I think they'll be nice to have a dry race, and I think that's what they're going to get here today, to be blatantly honest with you. 4 classes, of course, GT3 AMs, GTD AM, GTD Pros, LMP2s and GTPs. Going to be very interesting indeed. Suzuka itself, Mr. O'Leary, soaked in history. What's your opinion on this circuit?
Most of my dislike for this circuit, I've got to say, comes from the fact I'm not very good at driving it. It's a very, very difficult circuit. I've always found it extremely difficult. Back when I used to do F1 racing in an F1 style calendar, I used to find this circuit the hardest of them all because it's so easy to get yourself off the road. It is very old school in that respect. There's only really run off through the, outside of Spoon Curve, Turn 1 and through which is the other one, 130R as well, those real fast corners. But through the S's especially, there's absolutely no room for error, and that for me is what made it so difficult.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think the outside of Dunlop is very interesting as well for me, because I think if you run a little bit wide, we'll try and pick up on Pat Pelshat, who's just heading up that way now. If you run a little bit wide outside Dunlop, you are in trouble. Now, he's just about to go into it here, but if you're overtaking and you catch that curb on the outside, well, there you go. That happens. So they've got to be very, very careful. That was perfect timing. I swear, I got a crystal ball this evening. But they've also got to be careful of Degner 1 and 2. So there's a lot of things that could go wrong here. And with the multi-class, as always, well, generally anything that can go wrong does go wrong.
Sorry for doing some production direction on broadcast here, but can we have a look at Dominic Zioli? I think I've just seen one of the most extraordinary liveries I've ever seen in my entire life on pit lane a couple of moments ago. He's in the GTD class today. I haven't seen him this season. so far, but it's one of the most extraordinary liveries I think I've ever seen. Have a look at that on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Don't know why he's exiting pit lane at the moment, by the way, or doing whatever he's doing. Goodness gracious. Need my sunglasses for that. Goodness me.
You can't
that is
miss
quite
it.
No, I mean, we're glad about that as commentators. We like someone who we can spot, so no complaints from us about that one. Let's see if there are any more times still to come. It looks like that's it. Billy Smith II just came over the line there. I think he had seconds remaining, but don't think he's pushing on again. He looks like he's going at half speed to me there. Unless, maybe he's still going. Everybody else, though, is in pit lane. At the moment, it looks like Paul Darling might well take the pole position in a few moments' time, but Billy Smith II is still going. He's one of the 4 drivers who've been at both rounds so far. Unfortunately, though, he scored the least points of those 4 out of the first 2 rounds of the season. At the moment, he is 1.4 seconds off pole position and Paul Darling, but that could soon change. We'll wait and see. At the moment, though, Darling looking comfortable, and 4/10 at the top of the timing sheets is a good margin to have going into this race.
It is, but he's closely followed by Pat Pelshat. I'm going to be interested to see how they handle the traffic. I think it's going to be within sort of five laps, maybe. And then I want to see what they're going to do, because if Darling approaches them first and Pelshat's sitting in second place, I want to know how quick Pelshat's going to go through, because he's got to clear them. The problem is with having to clear somebody, it leads to issues. So, yeah, I'm going to keep an eye out on Pat Pelshat and Darling to see how they start approaching this GTD traffic.
Looks like Billy Smith II is going to stop before the line, or indeed just after the line, actually. I think he did improve slightly, but it's not good enough for any positions gained, unfortunately, for him on that one. So that is the end of the session. An hour-long qualifying, by the way, 15 minutes for each class. Of course, we broadcast the final moments of GTP qualifying, but by then, in this session, it was all pretty much sewn up. As we go forward to the grid then, let's have a look at the championship standings before we go any further, because we've had 2 rounds now, so I guess it's more relevant to us. Pat Pelshat is currently leading the way. As I say, the top 4 here have all been at 2 rounds so far, both of the rounds, and that gives them an advantage, of course. 8 points for Rodolfo Perez, behind with Ryan Wasilewski, another 6 points back. Billy Smith, another 2 points back. Maximilian Mille won 2 weeks ago. He's 5th, though, ahead of Nathan Dowd, with Dominic Durnenberg in 7th place. Vance Paul Darling and Paul Gibson round out the top 10 with Trevor Vavorowski down at the bottom. He hasn't been at any of the rounds so far. LMP2, Robert Cast has been able to win both of the races so far. That gives him a 13-point advantage on Brandon Walker. Carter Cundinger is in 3rd place as we go through the session. Here we go. Robert Tinsley and Leif Peterson are rounding out the top 5. Caden Richardson just 2 points further back with Andrew Parker. Kevin Binkley and Mo Islam rounding out the top 9. Here, all 9 entries have been at rounds so far, which is what we like to see. GTT is currently being held by Ross Boove, who's also won both the races so far. Nicholas Davis has been 2nd in both as well. It's Christopher Pace, Ewan Park and Paul Schmudlebach who is at the top 5, rounding out the top 5. Anyway, those are the 5 who've taken part in all of the 2 races so far. Bradley Haley is in 6th place, ahead of Patrick Fogel, Ryan Robertson, and then Ewan Park, and then Alex Simonik is at the back. He hasn't scored any points as of yet. And then finally in GTD AM, we've got Miguel de Souza leading the championship, the only championship leader to have not taken a race win just yet. Ed Asenring just 1 point back, as is Joshua Wolf. Morgan Smith only 4 back, and Colby Kersey only 9 back to round out the top 5. Parker Dime is in 6th place, just ahead of Mark Krodowski and Sheldon Rosenbaum, who are tied for 7th. Austin Diltz and Tom Hammond are tied for 9th. 1 point off the top 10 is Dale Green, followed by Chris Sherburn. John Rees and Shane Hunter are the final drivers to have set times. Not set times, but done a race, I should say, in this series. One more championship standing, of course, to go through, and that is the teams, although we can't show you because our system doesn't allow for decimal places, so we've still got to get a head around that. For now, we will just tell you about them. Composite Performance Carbon, which is Dominic Durnenberg, Robert Cast and Patrick Fogel, are just 4 points ahead of the second placed team, which is also Composite Performance Titanium. Sector 5 Racing are 7.2 points back, with Composite Performance Platinum at 8.7 back. Satellite Racing and Imperial Motorsports are tied for 5th, both on 32.3 points. Rumblestip Racing are on 22.3 points as things stand. And by the way, the drop rounds are already in effect here for all but 2 of those 6 teams, including for Composite Performance Carbon, the championship leaders. They've already taken 2 drop rounds because Dominic Durnenberg and Patrick Fogel have not been at rounds so far. That was indeed the round 2 weeks ago, which they were not at. Durnenberg is back though, which is good to see. And down in GTD, Patrick Fogel is unfortunately still missing, so they are going to have to take another drop round there. But each team only allowed a certain amount of drop weeks. We'll figure that out as we go along. Of course, the score is an average of the 3 per round. So, to give you an idea, at Daytona, Dominic Durnenberg scored 20, Cass scored 26, Fogel scored 16. That gave them a score of 20.7. Hope you're following me at home. For a couple of minutes to go until we get to the beginning of this race then, James. It's going to be an hour long. Pit stop required, of course, for all of these drivers as well. But this is going to be the first of maybe not the first of the races, to be fair, because Watkins Glen's quite a heads-up traffic circuit as well. But this has got the real potential to be very traffic-heavy and for traffic to be very, very important for a round pretty misplaced in the calendar with regards to that. I mean, Mid-Ohio and Mugello are in December. This is a round very much on its own with regards to real traffic interference, which surely we're going to see today.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be, if you survive traffic, you'll survive the race. And it's the same for the drivers. I know we put a massive emphasis on the faster car overtaking, right? That's the rule. That's always been the rule. Everybody keeps telling me that's the rule. And that is basically what they're saying is the rule. The problem is, with the GTDs there as well, there are certain points when they do have to be careful. You've got to look at the bigger picture if you're a GTD. There's no point trying to dive down the hypercar into a corner when you have 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 5 seconds or 10 seconds to the guy behind. You might as well just give it a little lift on a straight and allow him to go through. You both can take your line, no dramas. The problem is, it doesn't work like that. There are times where GTDs have run cars down into corners, they've gone across the track and blocked them off, and it just gets messy. It's like a dance, but both of you have got to be involved in it. It can't be a one-way dance, because at the end of the day, that don't work and it don't look pretty. You've got to have 2 drivers involved with it, and let's just hope it doesn't get messy, but never say never, because how many multi-class races have we watched where it has got messy? Let's see what happens. Skylar Davis in YouTube chat, going to be a great race.
It is indeed. We certainly hope so. Let's just have a quick spin through the grid while they're on the formation lap, by the way. I know that they're just coming up to Spoon Curve at the moment, but Paul Darling has taken pole position here ahead of Pat Pelchat. That gap, nearly half a second between the two. Nathan Down and Adolfo Perez are sharing row 2 ahead of Billy Smith the second. Dominic Durnenberg and Vats Bauer is going to start from the pit lane, if indeed he starts at all here. Robert Castro will be taking pole in LMP2, followed by Carter Kundiger and Robert Tinsey. It's Morris Lam and Brandon Walker who are 11th and 12th. Followed then by the rest of the LMP2 field. Kevin Binkley and Andrew Parker next up, followed by Caden Richardson, Leif Peterson, Brian Corwin, who is in his first ever Autobahn Sportscar Challenge race, will be starting from 17th ahead of Alex Simonik, then Bradley Haley and Rolf Boob, with Michael Ross next. Then Ida Eisenring, who's taken pole in Am, ahead of Young Park and Christopher Pies. That's row 12, followed by Nicholas Davis and Dominic Zioli, and then Ryan Robertson. Then the rest of the Am field. Eisenring way ahead of Austin Tilts. Parker Time and Miguel de Souza are next, followed by Joshua Wolf and Tom Hammond. It's Mark Kudrowski and Paul Lindsay just ahead of Dale Green and Morgan Smith as we get towards the very back end of the grid. Chris Sherburn and Shaw Reese next, followed by Colby Kersey and Sheldon Rosenbaum, with Carson Quint, the final driver, getting onto the grid. But unfortunately, Kersey, Quint and Rosenbaum look to be starting from the pit lane, if indeed they start at all. Let's see what happens over the course of an hour of racing here at Suzuka. It's set to be a great race. Paul Darling going to get us underway from the front of the field. and it's the perfect place to do it from, to be honest, considering he took such a dominant pole position just a few moments ago. So he can lead them in towards turn 1. Wait for those red lights. Now he hits the throttle, and now he goes. The green flag waves in the Autobahn Sports Car Challenge at Suzuka, and the Cadillac immediately steams ahead of Pat Pelchat, who's second. He defends from Nathan Dowd, who's third. He's slot in, then Adolfo Perez, and it's Dunnenberg and Smith who go side by side in the background for 5th place. They'll get single file too as they go into the S's. Look though at the LMP2s, they're already getting onto the back of the hypercar field. It's Robert Cast who leads that class up into the S's for the first time.
Yeah, you can see in the GT3s now as well. Alex Simonek has broken away. They're 2 wide further back. Ross Booth and Bradley Haley trying to go down turn 1 side by side. Young Park in there as well, mixing it up. Ed Eisenring has got him down 1 position already at the start, but he's still up there in the field. So for Ed, he's still surviving. That's what he needs to do. Everybody else has made it through cleanly. No real dramas for anybody at this moment in time. And as you can see, Paul Darlin leading the way, but Pelchat not far behind.
Absolutely not far behind as they make their way round at the very long and looping turn 12, which is not a corner you have to think about in these cars, or indeed many cars around the world. Unfortunately, I'm sad to report that Vatsbau, Carson Quick, Corby Kersey and Sheldon Rosenbaum all will not make the start for this one, I'm afraid. So 37 drivers have taken to the start of this race here with the 6 GTP cars making their way up towards 130R now, not that far ahead of LMP2s at all. Don't forget how quick those LMP2s are, especially through the corners, because they're just so light. They really do give the GTPs something to think about, and I'd be surprised if they're lapped once, to be honest. The LMP2s, they might not even be that much. There's the look back from Billy Swift second. The front end of the LMP2 field is pretty much right with him, as Morrislam, I'm afraid, has got off down at the Casio Triangle. There's been an incident back in LMP2. It was a clean opening lap, actually, certainly first sector, but down into the Casio Triangle, it's gone wrong for Morrislam.
Yeah, you can see him coming into the Casio Triangle now, hit the grass on the outside, then he hit the grass again on the white line, and unfortunately for Morrislam, all on your own there, dear sir. Nobody else involved, and there's not a lot he can do about that. He's going to have to go back and try and start again. Kevin Binkley mixing it up with Corwin in the LMP2s, but you've still got Pelchat and Dowd coming together in the GTPs. You are right, there is not a massive gap at all. It is literally 2.2 seconds between the leading LMP of Robert Cass and the back end of the GTP of Billy Smith. So Smith's going to have to get a little bit of a hurry on here, especially if he's hanging around a little bit, because Dominic Dorenberg in front is holding him up. He's got to make that move, break away as much as he can. Alex Simonek at this moment in time is 1.1 seconds ahead of Ross Booth in the GTD Pros, and Ed Eisenring is only now 3 cars ahead of Austin Dilks in the next GTD AM field there as well. Dominic Zioli still there in that brightly coloured pink, green, the rainbow basically.
Every colour.
Yeah, I couldn't think of what other colours on there. There's loads of them.
It's easier for us to list the ones that are not on there, but no, I'm absolutely fine with someone who stands out in the field as a commentator. There's no problem with that at all. In towards Degner number 2. Good run through here, actually, as he gets onto the back of the Porsche. That's Nicholas Davis, who's just up ahead in the black and blue. Oh, close. And that's something we're going to see a lot of here, I suspect, in the hour-long race today, because the concertina effect through the hairpin can really catch you out, especially early on.
You know, absolutely, and I think that's one of the things they're going to do is they've got to be careful. They've got to leave space. They've got to leave gaps if they can. I know they don't want to. They're racing drivers. Who the hell would? But at the end of the day, if they're concertina up going into that hairpin, it's just going to be a knock-on effect. They say don't push the pusher, but unfortunately, there's not going to be a lot of options for some of these guys, and they are going to be pushing through. So they've got to make sure they are careful. Dominic Zioli, I'm not really sure where he was going then, to be honest with you.
I think he just momentarily lost concentration, wasn't quite looking where he was going there, and nearly hit the wall there, the alternative pit lane, which is situated on the run between Spoon Curve and 130R through here, of course. It is part of a shorter layout you can run here at Suzuka, where you don't even pass the main Formula 1 pit sequence. This is on board with Brian Corwin, by the way. A great story here today. Corwin taking part in his first ever Autobahn Sportscar Challenge race. He said earlier on when he got into the server to practice an hour or two ago, he said, goodness me, everybody in here is quite good, aren't they? But right now, he's mixing it up with them. He's just ahead of Mo Islam. I know that's because Islam went for a spin at the end of lap number 1. Nevertheless, he's running in at 9th place and he is staying with the LMP2 group of Kevin Binkley and Leif Peterson.
Yeah, he was chatting about iRating earlier on. He didn't realise that everybody was 3K plus in this league in the LMP2s. He just presumed because he ran IMSA, he thought he would be all right. Well, welcome to this. Welcome to Autobahn. It's a baptism of fire for Brian Corwin. But look, at the end of the day, he's taking part. Every single race he does is every little bit more experience he's going to get. And I think that's a good thing for any racing driver. It's like me driving V8s on a Tuesday. Never driven them before, but you get more and more experience as you go along. So fair play, Brian Corwin. Settle in, son. Put your head down and do what you can do. Just don't, obviously, cause a mass drama if you don't need to. Simonek still leading the GTDs. Ross Booth still sitting in second with Healy, Michael Ross and Young Park in behind that. Ed Isering has got Dominic Zioli, Paz and Robinson, who's got Diltz and Parker Dime behind him. So that little bit of a pocket full of groups there of GTDs, you see them just coming over together, is obviously what Isering has got a gap down to Austin Diltz. Now, Isering's at the front. Austin Diltz is not too far back at all in that Mustang. So it's going to be interesting to see what Isering can do. Can he hang on or can he not? As Miguel Sosa and Josh Wolf just swap places. Josh has just gone through in that McLaren. So, yeah, lots of representatives of manufacturers in the GTD, which is great to see. The same in the GTPs as well. Cadillac, Acura and Porsche. Obviously the P217 is just the P217, and then you've got Fords, Porsches, Lambos, Ferraris, McLarens, Audis all taking part in the GTDs.
It's fantastic variety, as the GTPs, by the way, are not too far away. I think by the end of the next lap they will start to lap some of these GTDs now. The GTD AMs, of course, who are running around at the back. There's a battle for the very last position between Sean Rees and Morgan Smith in 2 Lamborghinis. They are going to be overtaken first. Here they are in towards 1 and 2, and just in the background, Paul Darling leads the field in towards turn number 1. Last time we were here at Suzuka, by the way, it was 3 seasons ago in season 11. This is the 10th time we've been racing at Suzuka. Guess who took the victory at that time in season 11 when we were here? Billy Smith II took the victory. It was actually, it turned out to be the first of 3 on the bounce that he would get on his way to a championship in the prototype class. Back then, of course, the LMP2 class was the top class, and Billy Smith II was certainly good in one of those. Unfortunately, they're running down in 6th place at the moment, and Paul Darling is at the front of the field. Hasn't been at any of the rounds so far, but, has not been at the first round. He's been at the last one. Didn't show himself quite this strong, though. Finished down in 6th place at Watkins Glen. At the moment, he is leading the field on lap 5.
Yep, and now we said 5 laps, didn't we? We said 5 laps, and what have we got within 5 laps? These guys are starting to go through. It's going to be very difficult at the moment because they're too wide. He's got nowhere to go. Where is he going to go? He's trying to force himself up the inside. He takes one. What's Pelchat going to do? That's going to be the interesting one because he's got to follow him through. Off the side of the circuit, he goes on the right-hand side, one of the Lamborghinis there. And now these guys have gone through. That was Morgan Smith taking a trip off at the side. Pat Pelchat through 130 out on the run up to Casio. The next group is going to be the interesting group. They were just a little couple of straddlers. Now we start hitting into the management. We start hitting into the main nitty-gritty of the GTD group. We've got these 3, and then on from that, it's going to be a lot quicker. And then after that, it could be just every single lap, to be blatantly honest with you. What are you going to do here? What are you going to do? Pelchat's right behind you.
Oh, goodness, diving down the inside, and the GTs are going to give room there. They did just go wide, but that has really advantaged Pelchat. Look at our mirror up in the top right-hand side of your screen there. He is getting a lot closer here. Is Pat Pelchat looking for a move on the way through the S's. There's going to be no chance here to overtake the Audi for Paul Darling. He's going to have to just slow for a moment, breathe off the throttle and then now go. Pelchat will follow through. This has been a great run through traffic for Pelchat. Now he's looking up the inside into Degner number 1. He can't do that. Will there be a look into Degner 2 here for Darling? There is. And he goes very deep, puts the Porsche off. Pelchat follows through now. This is good driving from the two of them.
Yeah, it is. It's nice and clean. I do love a good old sitting in the cockpit while they're trying to go through traffic. Gives you a real sense of what you've got and what you're trying to deal with here. You can see them trying to run out wide now all the way through currently 200R, the big looping right-hander before they get into Spoon, and then it's just going to come thick and fast. They are mixing it through now. No dramas at the moment. I will say that in a very apprehensive manner. The GTPs have made it through the GTD traffic with no real dramas. You can see now they're utilising the backstretch, going to utilise 130R and down in the Casio, but how's he going to do it? That car's got to wash out. It's going to go out. You've got to come in tight. There you go. Now he's got to try and get through here, and this is where it's not going to work. Pelchat's tucked up right behind us.
This is very, very close indeed. Darling just knew he had to just slow up a little bit there. Now he'll go left-hand side of one car and then down the right-hand side of the other. But look at Pelchat. He's right in the slipstream here. There's ample space for them. Darling looking for some more slipstream on the Porsche, and here goes Pelchat down the inside and towards turn 1. He breaks late in the Acura. Oh goodness,
dearie.
They both fire into the corner. They've both gone wide there, nearly into one of the Porsches that goes wide, scared for its life. That was Davis, who's running 6th in GTD. Goodness me, that was a close moment. But Pat Pelchat has taken advantage of the traffic and he's taken the lead of this race.
Yeah, utilised the traffic he had and used it on Darling, and Darling's now got held up again. Pelchat's going to run away with it, and he sought the opportunity. This is what we were talking about. He utilised the opportunity he had, and unfortunately, that was it for Darling. He was stuck there. They all ran wide. The Porsche went wide naturally, but then the GTPs went wide. Very much tunnel vision, and Pelchat was the first to react to be able to bring it inside the Porsche. So that's at the moment where it's at. This is where they're going to basically now, for Darling, he's got to try and stay with him. Last of the GTD runners, then we're going to be on just a straight go for the GTPs. They made it through, and I've got to be honest, that's probably one of the cleanest sessions of GTPs overtaking GTDs, because even further back with Adolfo Perez, he's made it through. Dominic Donenberg's made it through, and Billy Smith has made it through. And guess how many issues there was all the way through that first round of runs? 0. So fair play to them. That is probably the first time we've seen it like that.
That was very good indeed. 1 second for the lead in LMP2, by the way, because they're about to do the same here. Robert Cass just ahead of Carter Kundinger at the moment, and the battle for third is hot as well here between Robert Tinsey, in third, and Brandon Walker as well, who's in 4th position. Tinsey, of course, is at stage where he qualified. Walker, though, has got up to the back of him after making up a place. In towards the final chicane they go. Cast is going to lose a tiny bit of time on the exit here, but it's going to be nothing too major on this McLaren. Just in the background, here goes Robert Cast. He is going to just drive by on the front straight here, but it's going to be the first sector where they really feel it. And you do forget just how long the GT field is. The prototypes are always outnumbered in this series. Just 17 of them, just 16 of them actually, because Matchbar didn't start. And there are 21 of the GT cars. It's a lot to get through.
Yeah, it is, and it's managing that now. It's like we said, it's managing what that is going to happen and what's going to be done to them. Cunningham trying to go through at the same time as Cast. He's got to be a little bit careful. He's going to wash out, Cast. It's going to wash out. It's going to wash out. Go on the inside. There you go. And you can see now Cunningham's got to try and do the same thing. Again, this is another moment where you sit back and you would not want to be an LMP2 driver trying to wiggle your way through these 21 cars to make sure you don't hit anybody. And if they make it all the way through as well, bet play. This league is just outstanding. But then again, look at what we've got. It's 3K plus I rating in most of the drivers.
It absolutely is. As round the outside goes Robert Cast. Here he goes. Looking up the inside, that's the leader in GTD AM, so he's dispatched of all the bottom class, but still got 6 more GTDs to go. Outside line is Brave. Go out there. Oh, and the Porsche were expecting him to. Well, there's a bit of second guessing going on there. So Cast initially, I don't know whether he was going to or he was at least thinking about going around the outside there, but he thought, no, I better not. But the Porsche thought, he's going to do this, isn't he? and he just gave him a little bit of room on the outside where he didn't quite need to. A bit of second guessing between the two drivers, and there's no one really in the wrong for that, but it's just a bit of an awkward moment. Robert Cass loses a bit of time, and Carter Cunningham gets back in the slipstream here.
Yeah, it needs to be decisive. The thing is as well is, but Cass, he probably should have never shown that was something he was thinking about, because 9 out of 10 times that Porsche is always going to come out anyway. That's just the way it is. That's what they do. They haven't got the aerodynamics to pull them in tight, so the Porsche was always going to wash out. So for Cass, really, he probably didn't have to show that was what he was thinking. He probably could have waited and just taken the inside line there. You can see Cass trying to go inside. Cunningham's taking a more sensible approach. He's waiting for the car to finish what it's trying to do, and then he's nipping the LMP2 down the inside of him, or whichever way he's obviously going. If it's going to come out wide, he's going on the inside. If it's a tight corner, he'll go around the outside. So Cass has got to be a little bit more mindful of where he's sending that car, because I can tell you one thing, it only takes one little bit of indecisiveness and it just kind of all goes wrong. But they have cleared the GT3 field for the first time without any incidents again, and so that's a great job. Corvin, in his first run out in the LMP2, first race ever, is just making his way through traffic. But again, if he makes it through cleanly, he's done a good job for his first race.
Yeah, you can see the slight lack of experience here, can't you? I mean, on pure speed, he is as quick as the others, but just doesn't want to get himself involved in any incidents here, and fair play to him for that, because it would be easy to be over-ambitious here in your opening race and try and make moves where you shouldn't be, but fair play to him for making absolutely sure he gets through the traffic cleanly on this occasion. A couple of other battles going on, of course. Leif Peterson is just ahead of Mo Islam at the moment. The Canadian, the only Canadian in the field, Mo Islam, is going to be very, very interesting to watch come through the field, because he's dropped 5 places from his qualifying. Here he goes, using the Mustang down the inside into the Cassia Triangle, but he can't brake too late. Otherwise he'll T-bone the GT3. Here he goes through on the outside. That was close. He just got that door slammed on him, and now down the straight he's going to have to come back again, as meanwhile Ed Eisenberg just keeps that is still the 7th placed Dominic Zioli just in behind him, with Christopher Pies there as well in the Mustang. And there goes Zioli down the inside of Eisenberg in towards turn number 1. Oh dear, down the inside and far too deep on the brakes. He holds on to 7th in class, but he doesn't get ahead of the GTD AM leader. No,
it's just a little bit of overzealous there for Dominic Zioli. Sean Rees has also been off track and has come back on again. So for Sean, he's a little bit further down, 37th in the field, 12th in class. But Leif Peterson and Mo Islam, you can see the urgency from Islam as well. That's, I think, something that for him he's going to need to settle down on, because making rash moves in a bunch like this is going to cause problems. And this isn't going to be the first time they're going to do this. It's going to be the second, one of probably many. He's now utilising that Porsche, and for Binkley, for Peterson, what he's got to do is block him on the inside now. Block him on the inside. There you go. Nowhere for Islam to go. That is basically utilising the traffic you've got in front of you as a driver to know what they're going to do and use it to hold you. But now he's got himself blocked in, and he's got to go as well. So yeah, Islam's not out of it, but Peterson doing a great job utilising the traffic he's got around him.
That was Haley in the Ford Mustang. They've just passed there, and it didn't fall very nicely, I'm afraid, for Leif Peterson here, who's just been caught that little bit on the straight down in towards the final chicane. They go down the inside of the Porsche of Ross Booth, who also won, by the way, last time we were here in the what was it called back then? It was called GT Pro, not GTD. So there you go. But basically the same class as what we now call GTD. He won last time we were here at Suzuka in season 11. Down in towards turn 1 again. Peterson not having the traffic really fall his way, but Simonic goes wide, and that's going to help him. So he'll be through and clear just for the moment. So that's LMP2 through the traffic, other than Corwin, of course, who is still making his way through. That's a good, clean run as well. These first 20 minutes have been extraordinarily clean, but also very watchable as well. Good opening 19 minutes to this race.
Yeah, Corwin's making his way through, and I think you are right. For us to sit here and not scream at anything of what's going on the TV, because at the end of the day, that's, you know, with a GTD or a GT or an LMP taken out a GTD, and a GTD's done this and chopped it. This has been, well, I suppose in hindsight, this has been perfect, because we've not had any incidents whatsoever, apart from Dominic Zardi going off completely on his own self, Mo Islam making a mistake, which is what we've seen, and Sean Rees going off the side of the circuit. But again, I've got a funny feeling here for Rees. This was kind of all on his own, wasn't really affected. This is coming down into Casio Triangle. You can see there, that Lamborghini, you're too fast, son, too fast. There you go. Way too quick.
Slightly too fast.
Yeah.
So he lost a bit previous to that, a lot of time to Morgan Smith, actually. So those two are quite far apart. You will notice on the track map there is a GTD way behind the others. And actually these two have already passed him. So these guys are about to go through their second run of traffic. It does look like, by the way, they will catch the LMP2s for one run through traffic later on in this race. But of course the LMP2s by that point, and even by this point, to be honest, they're already so spread apart that actually it's going to be okay next time they go through traffic here for the GTPs. Big decisions to make in terms of pit stops as well here. We're into the middle third of the race now. It's probably too early to pit, to be honest, although you could make it to the end. It would be a bit of a risky call. I think these guys have just got to suck it up and accept the fact they're going to have to go through another 20-plus GT3s over the course of the next 10 minutes and then make their pit stop and likely have to do it all over again.
Yeah, it's going to be, once they start getting into the nitty-gritty in a couple of laps' time, this is just going to be GTP overtaking GTD. That's just the way it works. You're not going to have a lap's piece of quiet now as a GTP driver, because they're starting to get spread out, right? You've got the leader of Simonet going all the way through Dunlop, and the back end is going down into turn one. So it's likelihood that it's going to be constant. Christopher Pace has just been off the side of the circuit. He's got overtaken by Austin Diltz there. We'll have a look at that very, very shortly as these drivers are going to start their second run through. Can Darling utilise the traffic that Pelchat did in the first run? Well, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because you're going to find out for sure. Skylar Davis, time for the real race to begin. And that was wrote in the YouTube chat there just as they would start going into traffic for the first time. But if it's as perfect as the first run, I don't see any dramas.
Absolutely. Although it's hard to make a like-for-like comparison. Hard to say that that's definitely going to happen because the first run was so clean, but let's hope that it is, as there's a flash of the lights from Pelchat and a dive down the inside as well in towards the hairpin. Good move from him. Paul Darling still right in behind. Of course, Pelchat has been on the podium twice already this season. Darling only at one of the rounds, unfortunately finished down in 6th position. Even this result would be his best of the season so far, but he would very much like to take this win back from Pelchat, who was so aggressive in that first run through traffic. That makes the fact everyone stayed on the road even more impressive, arguably. The fact that these two were so aggressive with one another in their battle and so aggressive in making moves on the GTD AMs especially, and GTDs as well, to be fair, in the opening run through traffic makes it all the more impressive. But here they go again, a little bit more spread out, of course, the GTD AMs and GTDs, although it doesn't stop Pelchat from being held up. He's challenged in towards the Cassia Triangle, but no overtake this time.
No, Darling gave him a good old go, but what Pelchat really wants to do is get that car. What he wants to do now is drive defensive, get that car against the wall and defend that inside line, because as soon as Darling looks to go out, there's a GTD there. So he can't go out because he knows coming through turn one, they're going to catch it on the exit, funny enough. And now they've both made it through. If he'd have pulled out and gone for the move there, he would have been stuck running around that outside line. And Pelchat could have just run him side by side right up to the back of the McLaren in the background there. So, you know, for Darling and Pelchat, both of them used a little bit the grey matter between their ear rolls. And Darling made it through. Pelchat made it through. But it's now up to Darling to try and box Pelchat in. Get the run on the back straight coming out of Spoon if he can. Utilise the traffic that's in and around you to see if he can block him in any shape or form.
In towards the hairpin they go. Passing two Mustangs in a row, and this is Darling stuck up on the outside. This is a bad moment for the Cadillac, and he has to switch back to the inside. The gap opens up It's over a second for, I believe, the first time this race. And here comes Dowd as well in third place, just looking to get involved. We've sort of written Nathan Dowd off, but he's right there. He's in third place. He's closing on these guys, and with that mistake from Darling, or that little bad run through traffic for Darling, he's certainly there now. A bad run for a Pelshat through Spoon Curve, and now Darling gets the slipstream back again from the Accurate.
Yeah, they're all back in it now. Every single one of them. Pelshat, Darling and Dowd. Dowd's been almost, he's for the opening 14 laps here for the last 25 minutes. It's kind of reminded me of a Chinese ninja, because we hadn't even picked up on him closing in, and then all of a sudden he's just there. It's like, I'm here now. What are you going to do about me? Well, you know, ninjas are incredibly difficult to trap at any point because they're sneaky little rascals. And Dowd at the moment has shown that he's just as sneaky because we didn't even see him getting on the back of it. Looks like Mark Kudrowski's been off and Sean Rees has been off the circuit again. Kudrowski's lost a place to Lindsay, and Morgan Smith has passed Chris Sherborne. So that's been taking place at the same time. Simonek is also going to be caught. He's got Ross Booth tucked in behind him now in the GTD. So along with the traffic, I think Simonek's had a bit of a bad time. But the gap wasn't that far, Ewan. It was only sort of 1 second, 1.2 at the most. So Booth's done well here. Oh, no.
It's a good run from these two as we have a look at Brian Corwin here. Very much running on his own now after that run through GT3.
Oh, back end. It's going round.
Too fast into the hairpin, I'm afraid.
Yeah, he dragged the brake.
Around, though.
No, he dragged the brake too long to going in that, tried to get it stopped, and unfortunately dragged it round to the back end. So, yeah, for Corwin, unfortunately, learn and go again.
Yeah, that certainly will. Kudrowski, by the way, the most high-profile driver, I think, certainly since Moissan went off anyway, to have spun around. Well, I don't know if he actually spun the whole way around, but he's in pit lane now. So that makes me slightly concerned about whether he hit something when he was dropping down the order earlier on. You mentioned it a couple of moments ago. I saw it happening on the timing tower. I think he might have been in... Was he in the podium places at the time? Or was he a bit further back than that? He might have been in the top 5 anyway, but he certainly dropped outside of the top 10 now. And this is a long stop for Mark Kudrowski, I'm afraid. Over a minute long. This is not just a scheduled stop for him.
No, well, we'll have a look and see what he did. Oh no, there's a curb on the outside.
This looks high speed.
Yeah, curb on the outside, round you're going, all day.
Oh,
bang.
Goodness me.
And then dragged it straight into the wall. It's really weird at the moment where you can physically see what they're going to do. And we can read that he was going to hit that curb on the outside of 130R. As you've seen, he's deadly. He's got to be able to stay off it, because I can tell you one thing, it's going to happen time and time and time again for Kudrowski. Got to keep away. It's the same as Watkins going down the, not Watkins, Road Atlanta, going down the hill from turn 4. That curb on the outside of 5. Take it all or leave it alone. That curb's exactly the same. You either ride it or you leave it. You don't play with it. It's not an hamburger that you can root around in trying to find a gherkin. You know, you've got to let it go and don't touch it. And it's the same at Road Atlanta at turn 5. That is exactly the same on the outside of 130R.
Yeah, to be honest, here at 130R, I would leave that curb completely alone. I wouldn't go near it, because it is deadly. But you know, it's easy for us to say this out loud here. But I mean, for Mark Kudrowski, he may well have known that going in towards this race throughout his practice, and just ended up out there because of his car pushing out wide through 130R. You know, it's easy for us to talk about it, but it's a whole other thing to go and do it out there on the racetrack, as we know. Alex Simonek and Ross Booth make their way out of Spoon Curve. They're still nose to tail. They're very much on their own as far as traffic is concerned, although the LMP2 leaders are not too far behind them. It's GTP who are coming up to the back of some of the LMP2s, by the way, and also to maybe the back of the GTs at the same time. So is that going to be the moment in which Pelshat and Darling start to think about making pit stops? By the way, at the back of the field, it is Robert Tinsey, who's been in the pit lane in LMP2. So he's seen GT traffic ahead in LMP2 and thought, I better make an early pit stop. And now that we're nearly at halfway, it is worth doing. Yeah, it is. It's worth using it now, because if you are stuck in traffic, it's definitely worth trying to get it out the way. Tinsey he's taken an opportunity. He's come out in clean air as well. I'll say clean air, but come on, give me a break. It's multi-class. You know, there are GT3s in and around him, but at the moment there's
no real GT LMP2s that he's going to be battling. So for Tinsy, he's made a great move. He's just got to make sure he catches traffic in the right place. If he can clear that, round the outside you go, son. Off you go. There you go. Job done. And now he's got the next battle in the LMP2s, which is Mo Islam and Leif Peterson, 26 seconds up the road. Difference is, he's now stopped, got it out the way. Darlin and Pelshat are again coming up to the back of the LMP2 battle. That's ninth attempt. Tinsy and Corwin, they're going to be the first ones to get, get overtaken. There you go.
Yes, indeed. Out of Spoon Curve they go. Now, do the GTPs go for the Tinsy strategy, or do they stay out? Also taking on that strategy now is Caden Richardson, Leif Peterson. So this is starting to become quite a popular strategy in the prototype class because of the way that Suzuka works and the fact that it is a bit of a longer circuit compared to Watkins Glen at Daytona. The rounds of traffic are a bit more defined, and Pat Pelshat decides now is the time to come in. Darling thinks he's got one more lap in this, and I think he's right. I think he's got another lap here. So if Darling doesn't get too held up by the 7th placed LMP2 that has just been into pit lane, that's Robert Tinsy, who is just coming out right now. He's got ahead of Caden Richardson here. He won't have to go overtake him on the road, but Darling here needs to make use of lower fuel and try and get ahead of Pat Pelshat here before the traffic really starts again.
Yeah, Pelshat's got to get out. He needs to get out because the GT3s are coming. He should get out before the opening of that GT3 field coming around the last corner. However, he isn't moving at the moment. This is going to be very, very bad. You can see the numbers on the right-hand side. Pelshat's still in pit lane. Wow. Simonek has gone through, Booth has gone through, all the others are coming through. Pelshat needs to get out. He kind of needs to get out a little bit sharpish. You really want to get that Porsche. He didn't get the Porsche there. The number 77 at Young Park is now going to make an extra overtake, where Darlin at the moment has not got to do that. We can give you a rough idea of where he can come out. He will come out. Where is that at the moment?
Oh wow, he's wide. Sorry, sorry to interrupt. He's wide there at Spoon Curve, really wide, and he might. He's got to slow down. He'll be in trouble. Both of these two having moments there. They will not look back on fondly here on these in laps and out laps. Now, does Darling respond the next lap, or does he go even one further here?
If he goes one further, it's going to start weaving through traffic. I think for Darling, he's got to make that decision on whether or not he's going to get in or out. He's going to come, believe it or not, he's in. He's going to be within 100 yards of Pat Pelshat either way. So obviously we'll give you a rough idea. He literally at the moment will come out around 6th in the GTPs. So, which is around here. But again, as I say, take it 100 yards either way on that one, because obviously it just gives us a rough idea of where. Dominic Donenberg goes round again. I don't know if that's a good idea.
I don't hate it, actually. These LMP2s, don't forget, are not that much slower than the GTPs, so he won't catch very many of them. I don't even know if he'll catch 7th placed Caden Richardson at the moment here, Dominic Dunneberg, and because he's a bit further back than the leaders, he needs to be careful not to come out in GTDs like Pat Pelshat did. Already, Darling's on his way, and he's miles out in front. Look at this. Already 4 seconds quicker in the box, but more importantly, he didn't have any traffic. Dowd is coming out here. It's going to be a Cadillac 1-2. Pat Pelshat has got this mightily wrong in the pit stop phase.
Yeah, you see Darling going up through the snake now. And Pat Pelshat, unfortunately, has got it all to do there. That was a good run. That was a good run from Darling, and it just showed the difference of what Pelshat had to deal with coming out, and it was that outlap of Pelshat. It was such a long stop, or what felt like a long stop. Now, give me in conjunction with Darling's. Darling went in a lap later, but was 4 seconds quicker on the pit lane, on the actual stop time than Pelshat.
Pelshat very nearly had it in the wall there at Degner too. He got a real slide on the AstroTurf, but yeah, I don't think the quicker pit stop time there was anything to do with how long they stayed out, but I think Darling has just cut this a bit finer with regards to how many laps of fuel he's put in. The only thing I think that is going to now deny him a chance at a race win, unless there's a real bad run through traffic or something, is him running out of fuel and this race going one lap longer than he was expecting, because he does have the shortest pit stop of anybody in GTP, and that's a slight concern.
Yeah, but you can look at Dowd, and Dowd's 24 seconds. It's still two seconds, give or take, faster than Pelchas. So Perez, who has not been up there, 25 seconds. Billy Smith, 23 seconds. All quicker than Pelchat. Every single one is quicker. So, yes, I understand what you're saying about laps and making sure you're in and around. I get that, I really do. But for the whole of the GTP field to be quicker than Pelchat, who's got it wrong? 5 on 1 here.
Yeah, going to be interesting. Let's see. Dominic Turnenberg will drop down to 5th place, I think, here where he started. That will be Adolfo Perez just through. Billy Smith second to be quite close here. There he is in the other Porsche on the outside line. Very close indeed, but doesn't go too deep on the brakes trying to do it. Well, actually through turn 2 he's all right. And he'll get to the inside, he will gain a place. Billy Smith the third
nice job.
into at the top 5. That was a nice job to get ahead of Dominic Turnenberg there in the standings. So those two will be running 5th and 6th at the end of this. Let's have a look at a replay of Young Park here. He was running in the top 5 in GTD.
He's not now.
He's in the grass. Oh, goodness me. Oh, my goodness, that's a big crash. In the grass on the way in. He's sliding on 2 wheels through the gravel and unfortunately smacks into the wall. That is a huge, huge accident.
Yeah, such a weird moment as well. He gets on the grass and then it's almost like the car turns. There was a turn on the wheel to go left and then it just snaps back and very acrobatically does that. And yeah, for Young Park, he's had to go back to the pit lane. LMP2, is still coming in at the same time. Robert Cast is the only one that's not pitted in the LMP2s. Dowd and Pelchat are together, and Perez and who's he got? He's got Robert Cass in behind him, but Cass should be going into the pits. But Dowd and Pelchat having a good old nice little ding dong here.
Yeah, don't forget that Robert Cast is actually only 16 seconds away from the overall lead, I think. He's very, very close indeed as things stand, because of course the LMP2 leaders haven't stopped yet.
In.
Cast, Walker and Parker all yet to come in, but now Robert Cast is in. Carter Kundig has already come in here, so let's see what happens in LMP2 now with 23 seconds in the box for Kundinger. Does that mean Cast will get out ahead or not? As of right now, by the way, you're not missing anything in the GT3 classes. They have all, mostly anyway, not decided to pit just for the moment, although Ed Eisenring has in the GTD AMS. We'll see where he comes out. In fact, he's been in for over 5 minutes. We've missed something here. We've missed something here.
Oh, yeah, it went through. At the moment, they were going all through pit stops. Unfortunately, I do apologise for that one. Oh, no. There's a curb out there, dude. Oh, he spun it up.
One person picks him.
Yep. And I bet you that steering is not right.
Yeah, I would say so.
What's he got coming out there? Oh, no. He's already turning right to try and get it in there. Oh,
what a shame.
Sorry, I missed that. I was back on lap 15 for the GT3s.
Yeah, 3 laps to go that now, but yeah, apologies for that. But there you go. That's what happened in GT3. Cast did get out of ahead of Kundinger, so there you go. Cast is ahead of Kundinger in LMP2. That is a sorted field. All of the prototypes now have made their pit stops. It's time for GT3s to make their pit stops as well. Simonik and Boover still absolutely nose to tail as things stand. Surely with nearly 40 minutes gone, they can't be too far away from being required to make their pit stop because they'll run out of fuel. But at the moment, I think they're enjoying being in clean air down in towards Spoon Curve.
Some of these guys are going to have get a break right at the moment. You can see Simonik there as well. Oh, no. Did this include each other here? Oh, it did. It did. First drama. Nice. Nope. Pelchat got held up at the same time there. First one. On what lap are we on now? 22 for the GTBs. He just carried too much speed. He didn't cut. This is where we talk about the car going to wash out. And that kind of almost should have been preempted, that he was going to come out at turn 1 and look to go on the inside. I don't know. I think that's more of a mistake from Dowd, to be blatantly honest.
It's very difficult. I think Dowd certainly is going to be the one and judged to be at fault for that one. But, you know, on a normal day, he's expecting the GT3 to be tight there to the inside line because that's where the racing line is after all. But, you know, it's not the GT's fault in an incident if indeed they've missed the apex. That doesn't make it their fault, but it just means that they're in a different place to what the prototype driver was expecting, and that can cause the problems. Meanwhile, the GTD AM leader is in, Austin, or the new leader anyway, Austin Dilts is into pit lane. Miguel de Souza carries on. We've already seen pit stops here from Joshua Wolf and Parker Dime, who are only 5 seconds apart. This is going to be the race for the the lead after the pit stops here in GTD AM as things stand with just over 20 minutes to go. Dilts stops in his box. Now the seconds tick up, and now he leads 23.5. Joshua Wolf, very quick in the box indeed. 15.9 seconds in the lane, and surely that's going to give him the lead here in the McLaren. Here he goes on the right-hand side. He gets past the Mustang, and Joshua Wolf will be in the lead of this race. But can he make it to the end? Because his pit stop was 7.5 seconds shorter than Austin Dilts was.
Oh, I don't know. We've got Miguel de Souza leading at the moment. Billy Smith is... Oh, Billy.
Let's see what's happened
he's
here.
going to hit him.
Oh, goodness me. That's
Corwin.
a colossal misjudgment. Oh, dear.
Tim and Corwin. Oh, no, the rainbow.
Oh, no.
Rainbow is...
Dominic Zioli.
Yeah. Oh, I can see a GTP in behind it.
Oh, that's connection problems there. That GTP had no idea Dominic Zioli even existed.
Oh, I think you're giving that GTP far too much credit, Mr. O'Leary.
Oh, you think so?
He
I don't
knew
think
he
he would
was
have
there.
done that in a million years if he could see where he was.
How can you not see a brightly coloured car? He doesn't go anywhere.
No,
Bang!
look at the way he takes the racing line. There's no attempt there to move at all. He could not see Dominic Zioli. And look at the car just behind as well. Look at the way he got past the car just behind too.
Was that Pelchat?
It's Pelchat. Wow, that is surprising. And Pelchat's down to 5th place here, by the way.
Hold on then.
And he's disconnected. That's what's happened. I'm absolutely convinced he couldn't see anybody, because look at the car. Look at him passing the car previous too. He hits the back of the McLaren as well because he's no idea that's there. He's taking his racing line because he doesn't know anybody else exists. And unfortunately, Zioli's gone off as a result. It's such a shame. And now Pat Pelchat as well. Also a shame because he has disconnected from the session.
All right, I'll give you that. I will give you that one because that did, for the very first time, I would actually agree with you. That did look a little bit weird. The fact that he just drove straight through him. He didn't see him. So I will happily give you that. Simonek and Booth are scrapping it out now in the GTD Pro class. Walker, unfortunately, has been off the circuit and is down the road. I just want to see these get through the hairpin. We'll have a quick look at Brown and Walker. To be fair, considering that we've had quite a long time without any incidents, they're kind of coming a little bit thick and fast here. You know what I mean? And he's just gone round all of a sudden on his own. But I think at the end of the day, there's a lot going on. Smith's in the pits, Corwin's in the pits. They obviously make contact with each other. Parker's trying to escape from Kevin Binkley. Above that, everybody else is, well, I can show you on the overall here as well. Everybody else is just kind of quite spread out right the way down to, well, yeah, Binkley and Parker.
I know, but feel like we've contributed slightly to the to the recent incidents in this race, but never mind. We know it's not our fault.
We're not driving a car. It's not. This commentator's curse thing is not that. It's a coincidence, isn't it? Let's be real about it on that one. Pelchat has jumped to the pit lane.
He's back again. He's reconnected to the server and he's back again now. So what that will do is effectively ensure he finishes ahead of Billy Smith and finishes in 5th place. But he's the series leader, don't forget, in GTP.
Oh, he just got hit up the bum.
Perez. It's only 8 points back. Here is Pelchat again, back out onto the circuit. He looks okay. He looks like he can see everybody again now. So that's all good news for everybody as he makes his way back out again.
Yeah, Brandon Walker's had another moment. Andrew Parker's been off the side of the circuit as well. So there's been a lot going on in and around that here. So, yeah, hopefully Pat Pelchat should be okay. We do have Corwin and Chris Sherborne's now in the pits. Billy Smith is still in there anyway. I expect them to be in there for a while. Ross Booth catching up with Alex Simonek and Caden Richardson, who I did see for Ryan Luke there, trying to escape away from Mo Islam.
Yep. This is still on this race here. There's plenty more to go as in towards this battle to eighth place we go. Richardson versus Islam. This is for fourth in class, of course. What a recovery from Mo Islam, by the way. I don't know if we've talked about him enough, to be honest, in this race. We saw his spin. We saw him make his first re-overtake, I suppose. But now all of a sudden he's in the top 5. And he can see the driver on the bottom step of the podium. I don't know if he's quite going to have time to get there on Robert Tinsey, but he's got a great chance here to overtake Caden Richardson.
Yeah, Mo Islam up 2 places there as well. Hamish and YouTube, we had this issue a few weeks ago back in the Supercars League where someone drove through about 5 cars on the safety car because he couldn't see them. There you go.
No.
Yeah, gotta love dead GT3s with no damage to protos. That's Dominic Zioli there as well in the brightly coloured rainbow car that I presume is now out.
I can imagine he's not too pleased about that, and you can see why as well. A real shame for Zioli, who was doing so well, just under 5 minutes in the lane. By the way, we have not actually had anybody officially retire yet who started this race other than Sean Rees, who happened to retire quite a long time ago, and Brandon Walker as well, who's recently retired in LMP2. So that is a shame, but everybody else is either having long repairs and re-emerging or has re-emerged, like, by the way, Ed Eisenring, who came back out again.
Simonek's in again.
Wow.
Why has he been in twice? He entered and left, and now he's back in. And
Ross Booth leads by 8 seconds,
he's dropping down the order here. This could be the end of Simonek's race at this moment in time. Hammond, Lindsay, probably Smith might be able to get him as well. So I'm not entirely sure what's happened to Alex Simonek, or whatever the situation is, but he's there now. 30 seconds, far too long. That is some form of problem or some form of damage. He's been off the side of the circuit. Oh, he has.
Oh, it's 130R again. Oh, no.
Oh, man, that's the outside curb again. That's the curb. There. Round you go, son.
Oh,
Can explain it. All right.
A big hit.
Yeah. Okay, so that explains why Simonek went through at the same time on that one.
What a shame.
Yeah, so he's now down and probably out on that one. That does promote Ross Booth to the lead. Austin Dilts in the Mustang chasing down Joshua Wolf in the McLaren. These guys are battling for the lead of the GTD AM.
They certainly are. And I've still got my reservations about whether this McLaren can make it on fuel, but that's besides the point at this stage. It is a battle between the two of them. Just look at the track map at the top right-hand side of your screen. There's cars all over the place now. We're not having the traffic coming in stages like it was earlier on, where you get a few laps of traffic and a few without, but now it's just with. And so you've got to let an LMP2 past on the back straight, on the front straight, I should say. That is... running in.
Oh, he's going to get him. He's going to get him. He's going to have a go.
Here we go. This tilts in towards the defence for the McLaren. And Wolf hangs on for the moment with 12 minutes to go.
I am surprised Wolf didn't send that round the outside. He got such a better run round that second part there of 130R. I am physically surprised that he did not send it round the outside of Josh Wolf. Because now he's just going to be stuck in behind it. So... yeah, I'm quite shocked that he didn't, to be blatantly honest. I thought he might have had a good old go. Another battle is coming together. Richardson and Islam. Islam has cleared Richardson, and now Andrew Parker is in the mix. So it's a 3-car fight for fourth in LMP2s.
Oh, hello. This is almost a 3-wide moment. It looks like Binkley is, or Parker, excuse me, is going to be stuck on the outside, sort of boxed in here. Side-to-side contact with Richardson. Oh, he's going to try and go around the outside anyway. Oh, goodness, that's not going to work. Andrew Parker there, very nearly, making a spectacular overtake. Then there's Binkley, who's just in behind them here as well. This is all been created by the pit stop phase, really, and a fight for 4th position, which now Mo Islam holds at the moment. What a great recovery drive from him.
Yeah, he's done really well, Islam, to be blatantly honest. No, can't take anything away from him. Up 3 places, sitting in 4th class at the moment, 8th overall. So he's done an absolutely amazing job. But you can see Tinsey out in front. Country mile, let's be blatantly honest for it, but these guys battling away once more. Parker almost pushing Richardson along there. There's also a Kevin Binkley in the LMP2, so this is soon becoming Islam, Richardson, Parker, Binkley battle in the LMP2s. But it's that problem of traffic. How are they all going to get through, and are they all going to get through cleanly? And at the moment, Mo Islam is leading that one.
It certainly is, as we make our way through turn number 14, that spoon curve, of course. And Richardson now very much on the defensive. There's no chance any of them are catching Mo Islam. He's flying today, making me wonder a little bit what he could have done without that spin. Certainly a podium place was in the offing, and now it might be anyway. Tinsey's off the road as a Porsche's up backwards as well here. Parker down the inside, and he goes for a spin. He threw it all on the line there with 10 minutes to go in pursuit of that 5th position, and unfortunately it's gone wrong for him. This, meanwhile, is the GTD AM Championship leader, Miguel de Souza. He's gone for a spin here at the S's. Well, he's only got in the gravel, thankfully, but and survived for the moment, but that was not an ideal moment for him. This is Tom Hammond further back. We haven't spoken about him too much today. He's still running in 4th place. This was a spin at the hairpin.
But that was Miguel de Souza on the side of 130R there.
Wow, again, another one.
Porsche doing Porsche things. This time. Yeah, and around he goes.
He's lucky he didn't hit the wall. Wow.
How did Tinsey end up going off in all of this?
He went off, I think, either in avoidance or afterwards. In avoidance. So he's in the grass in avoidance, and then he's not missed. He's missed his braking point because he's been too busy looking at the Porsche, and there he goes for his spin. So is Mo Islam any closer as a result of that? Yes, 1 second. This is absolutely on for 3rd. Meanwhile, this is what happened to Andrew Parker. He also missed his braking point, I think. I'm not entirely sure. He was attempting that move, but he missed his braking point.
Yeah,
he spun around.
Yeah, he did, and he also hit the curb as well. That did not help. It unsettled the car there. That was a brief 5 minutes of complete and utter madness. However, Islam is now, as you say, 2 seconds up the road away from Richardson and only a second away from Tinsey. You can see him. There he is, the 82, the 86. Let's see who can keep it going and see who can keep it on the track. 8.5 minutes to go. It's been a great race so far. I've thoroughly enjoyed this, to be blatantly honest with you, Mr. O'Leary, and I can safely say Suzuka has delivered despite what you think.
I'm glad you released to everyone what I think about Suzuka, which is not very highly, but I think of it a bit more highly now. Meanwhile, back for the lead in GTD AM at the bottom of your screen there. And the McLaren of Wolf defending from Dilts, who goes round the outside into 1 and 2. That would be spectacular. He's not quite going to do it, though, and he tucks back into line again because he knows there's traffic coming here. Doesn't know which way to go. Here goes Tinsey to the inside. Oh, he doesn't get it quite right. Here goes Islam to the inside. Who's going to get the better run? Oh, they're 3 wide up the S's. Goodness me, Tinsey slides in front of Islam now as they go through the S's again. Down the inside will go Tinsey. He'll hang on just about. Goodness me, 2 really important battles converging as off in the background. Richardson goes off and he loses his top 5 to Binkley.
Yeah, Richardson now unfortunately behind Binkley. I think that's Nathan Dowd in there as well in the GTPs. For these guys down here for Walford Downs, drive your line. Probably change your underpants by the end of the race, because I have to tell you what, there's been a lot going on for these guys in the last few minutes. Oh, dearie me, they managed to survive, but God blimey, that was a bit rough for Joshua Wolf and Austin Dilts, as Dowd is going to go and clear Binkley there as well. And, oh, that's Pelshat. I wonder what was going on there.
Whoa. Oh, my word, that was close.
Turn him.
Well, he's still not through.
You can't turn him.
And the Acura goes into the wall. It's Pat Pelshat again.
can't turn him. And he did turn him.
Or did Pelchat not give enough room? Let's just have another look in towards Spoon. That he's been that's difficult to call, to be honest, but there you go. Not that it especially matters for Pat Pelchat anyway, because he's going to finish 5th, or no matter what happens there, but anyway, he ends up in the wall. Meanwhile, side by side for 3rd. Oh, and through the middle goes the Cadillac. Oh, my word, that's Dowd going through, I think, in 2nd place overall, round the outside of Moisam, who is now through into the podium places. More, by the way, more than half a minute off the overall lead in LMP2. That's what a crazy race it's been. However, he repeats, or completes, I should say, his run back to the podium places after spinning and dropping down to 10th place in the opening 10 minutes of this race. He's back now in the final 5 minutes to a podium position once again.
And Binkley's now got Tinsley in sights this out. Tinsley can see him into Degner 1. They've got to carry as much speed. Look at the dip on the inside. You've got to hit that dip. There we go. Now get up, because it'll bounce. Oh, God, that curb bounces you off the end if you're not careful. Now Tinsley's going to try and go. Stay away from him, stay away from him, stay away. Oh, go, because you can. Oh, Tinsley there, I thought was going to stay on the inside line. Michael Ross has been off, and Corwin's been off again. So we'll have a look back. That Porsche's got no front wing on there, or no bumper. That's the one.
Wolf and Dilch, by the way, were side by side again there a few moments ago. They were into the hairpin just a couple of moments ago, and Wolf was on the defensive, but he's still in the lead of this race. Just less than 5 minutes here to go. As up towards the line goes Darling, that will mean it's 3 laps to go for him. Likely 3 for these guys too, but Dilch slides. Oh, that might be the mistake that decides the race. Dilch goes for a slide. Here goes Parker Dime in the other Mustang, just in the background. His run is going to be extraordinary compared to Dilch, of course, who makes that mistake. A really critical error at a critical moment of this one. Here goes Dime to the inside. They'll sort it out single file, and he's through into 2nd position. Unbelievable. The GTD Am race is not done just yet.
No, but that started back at Spoon. When Dilts was coming through Spoon, he was losing the car. The car was already off. And then, unfortunately, it just went a little bit Pete Tong. Michael Ross has had a moment here. I've got a funny feeling for Ross. Something's gone on in the hairpin. That, again, has got no bumper on the car. He's just got in a little bit hot there and did that. What did Brian Corwin do? Oh, he just comes out the pit lane.
Might just... called it a day here, maybe.
Oh, no, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. Oh, no, he probably does after just, that as well. But
yeah.
For him, I think he was learning, wasn't he?
Yeah, and doing well as well. I think the big difference was in traffic, where it's clear the drivers who have done this series before would have an advantage. I mean, he's done IMSA before, he said so, but... I think has been taken by surprise a little bit by the standard of field here, of course. He is the lowest I-rating driver in this field here today, but that doesn't degrade his talent by any means. He's clearly a quick driver, but it's just about getting that efficiency through traffic up a little bit, and he can be a real force to be reckoned with in this series for sure. This is Paul Lindsay on the back of Tom Hammond. That's for 4th and 5th. In GTD Am. As things stand, Joshua Wolf would be the new championship leader in GTD Am, by the way, and finally GTD Am would have a championship leader who's won a race. Joshua Wolf, of course, won the first race, and he might be on his way to winning this one as well. At the moment, though, he's 1 point behind Miguel de Souza, who hasn't won a race yet, but has still scored more points than him. With the Porsche down in 6th place, that's not going to lead him to hang on to the championship lead. Parker Time is only 12 points behind Joshua Wolf. So even if he were to win this race ahead of Wolf, then he wouldn't be the championship leader. In fact, whatever order these guys finish in, if these 3 are the top 3 by the finish, Joshua Wolf will be the new championship leader in GTD Am. But will he be a race winner again? That's the big question.
Can I just say we'll see? Am I allowed to sit on the fence? Yeah. Everybody else sits on the fence here when I ask them questions. So can I sit on the fence? Because to be blatantly honest with you, I don't know. Wolf is here. He's going to... he might be all right with GTP traffic. I don't think there's going to be any getting near him. We're going to have one more lap here. I think Paul Darling should take the white flag this time around as he's coming out of Spoon now at the moment. But between these three, I can't answer the question. I have no idea. It could go either way.
It really could. I don't think these guys are going to be lapped by anybody else now to the end of the race, actually. The leading LMP2 is only making its way in towards turn 1 at the moment. That's Robert Kast holding on from Carter Kundinger as things stand. I don't think those three are going to get there. The GTPs at the moment are just coming out of the final corner. Paul Darling is seeing the white flag right now with just over 1 minute to go as he gets on his way to possibly his 23rd win in the Autobahn Sports Car Challenge history. That's a lot of wins, by the way, for someone in this series. And it's been a fairly cruisy race for the last half an hour or so after a very intense first half an hour.
Yeah, it has. And the first half an hour was really clean. And then after pit stops, still kind of got a little bit peaked on, to be honest. And for the likes of Chris Sherwood, oh no, Spoon again, curb on the outside, round you go, son, off you go, snap it back, can you hold it, nope, and into the wall.
Stay! Oh, goodness! Wow. That was. I think those are the LMP2 leaders, or one of the LMP2 battles, certainly going through there. But either way, everybody survives, so it's all okay. This is the battle indeed for 6th place on backwards in LMP2 going on right now. Time is about to elapse though on the race. Joshua Wolf ahead of Parker Diamond, Austin Diltz at the moment is the main battle for the win as they go over the line one more time here. This is the run in towards turn. Well, this is the last run in towards turn number 1 for Parker Dime. And he's not got there. You can see it on the track map at the top right-hand side of your screen. They come in, and Dime is not even alongside Wolf. He's going to have to do it somewhere else.
Yeah, but where? Where has he got it? We've got to pick on Pelshat in a minute. But not Pelshat, Darling, because he's going into Casio. However, there is a back marker there, dear sir. So please just get through this.
He will, yeah.
There you go.
And he will come through to take a victory. The 3rd different winner in 3 races here overall in the Autobahn Sports Car Challenge. This time it's Paul Darling in the Cadillac who takes the victory ahead of Nathan Dowd. As further behind, that battle in GTDM is going to enthrall us here on this last lap as well. They'll cross the line behind Ross Booth, who's also going to come across the line here before these guys and win this race. He'll take his 27th victory in the Autobahn Sports Car Challenge and bring his average finish, by the way, into the top 5, which would be fantastic for him. Here he comes into those final couple of corners. Ross Booth, a race winner for the 3rd time already this season. He's taking a real stranglehold now on this championship and will have more than 10 points more than anybody else at the end of this race. What's happening in GTDM? Joshua Wolf looks like he is hanging on here out of Spoon Curve. There's 1 run to go. He knows it as well. He pulls it over to the left-hand side. Parker Dime is not very close. He's gaining in the slipstream though, trying to get all he can from that very sleek and slender McLaren in towards 130R. They're all up the inside curb. They're all giving it their all. Dime's over the curb on the outside. He breaks impossibly late. Wolf goes on the defensive, dives it in deep, and if he gets it on the power nicely, he's going to be an Autobahn Sports Car Challenge winner for the 2nd time this season, and he is. He takes the championship lead to go with it. GTDM with 3 drivers covered by a second in the end, and Joshua Wolf and Pit Strategy wins in that one ahead of Parker Diamond. Austin Diltz further behind. Robert Kast comes over the line in LMP2 to win his 3rd race in 3 here at the start of season 14.
Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible. This Suzuka race has really opened it up. Cass taking 3 out of 3 as well. Lindsay comes in behind Hammond. Wolf's there, which has done an absolute incredible job in the GTD AMS. Second race win of the season. Of course, taking 6th place at Watkins Glen, so this has definitely made up for it for Wolf, and it's just been amazing. I've really enjoyed this race. I know we come in with sort of a 50-50 chance of what it was going to be, but it was absolutely really good. And Darling taking his first win after again taking 6th at Watkins Glen. So fair play to them. And I'm just pleased to say, to be honest with you, big shout out to the GTPs, big shout out to the LMP2s for making it past the traffic for the first time without any problems.
Absolutely. Although we maybe spoke too soon and all hell broke loose for the second time around. But that's not our fault.
Nobody saw that.
No. Paul Darling takes the win by 3.4 seconds in the end ahead of Nathan Dowd. That came down, of course, because Darling was taking it easy on the final couple of laps in traffic, especially. Then it was Adolfo Perez finishing on the podium. He'll gain points on Pat Pelchat today, with Dominic Turnenberg doing his work for the team, indeed, that he is a part of, still leading the team's championship. Robert Cast wins in LMP2 with Cotter Cunningham just behind those two. Weren't lapped by the GTPs once. Mo Islam was, though, and had a great run through back through the field to finish ahead of Kevin Binkley and Caden Richardson, who joined him inside the top five. Andrew Parker, Robert Tinsley and Leif Peterson were the final drivers in LMP2 not to have problems. Ross Booth wins for the third time this season in GTT, meanwhile, ahead of Bradley Haley and Nicholas Davis. It's Ryan Robertson, Christopher Pies and Michael Ross rounding out the top 18, and the GTDs who finished without problems today. GTD AM was won by Joshua Wolf, just ahead of Parker Dime and Austin Dilts, with Tom Hammond holding on from Paul Lindsay at the end there. Mugo de Souza loses his championship lead with that 7th place finish, with Dale Green, the last driver, 4 laps down. Then Morgan Smith and Chris Sherburn were 5 down in GTDM, although they didn't have problems today. Neither did Mark Kedrowski, other than that hit into the wall we saw at 130R. Pat Pelchat wasn't very pleased with Caden Richardson towards the end there as he crashed at Spoon. That was his second incident of the day. He'll finish 29th ahead of Ed Eisenring, who led this race very well indeed at the start in GTD. And Brandon Walker retired, probably the first of anybody here actually in this race. But the second was the first GTP to retire. Alex Simonik led in GTD for a while, but finished 33rd, I'm afraid, ahead of Brian Corwin in his first ever Autobahn race. Dominic Cioli, Young Park and Sean Rees were the final drivers to take part, and the bottom 4 did not take the start of this race.
No.
So we don't have the overall winner in just yet, but we do have Robert Cast ready to talk to us for the third time this season. Welcome in, Robert. Good to have you with us again. And congratulations on your third race victory of the season already. You hang on by just under 3 seconds in the end. How was the race at Suzuka today, generally?
I don't know, man. I get used to this, guys. It's nice seeing you every time. But at some point, I'll let Carter win a race. But overall, he was pressuring me the whole time. I was looking in my mirror, racing in the relative, and traffic wasn't easy, and it was definitely difficult to manage. But it was a good race overall. I had a lot of fun.
I mean, how much of an outlier do you think this race is going to be in the first 5 rounds or so? Because, yes, Watkins Glen has a little bit of traffic interference, I suppose, but I don't feel like, from a watching point of view anyway, it's not quite like this is. Spa and Red Bull Ring over the next 2 rounds are not quite going to be like this is as well. So how much of an outlier is this race, and how much does it actually, how much is it similar to those other rounds like Watkins Glen, for example?
It's just going to be one of those things. We're just going to take it one race at a time. I'm going to have to figure it out as I go. Spa is going to be an interesting one, and beyond. It's this track. There's so many sections you have to hold up and back up and wait and postpone everything or send it in bad ways, and it's going to be one of those things. Just play by ear.
Absolutely. Congratulations on your third race win of the season already, Robert, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well.
Yeah, guys, thanks. It's always good seeing you. See you next time.
Thanks very much. Robert Cast there, winner in LMP2. While that was going on, we, of course, had Paul Darling join the waiting room, so let's bring him in as well. Welcome in, Paul. Good to have you with us. Congratulations on the victory, your first of the season. That was a very intense first half an hour, I would say. It looked quite cruisy for you in the second half an hour, but the battle between yourself, Pat Pelchat, and Nathan Dowd was something spectacular to watch. How was it to be a part of?
No, it was extremely intense. This track is absolutely insane for multi-class. Doesn't get chosen very often, but that definitely kept the gaps between us tight. Gave Pat that opportunity to make the pass. I didn't defend it as hard as I probably should have. He got by, but just nose to tail for the rest of it until the pit stops there.
You're right, it doesn't get chosen very often, but do you think that's for good reason? It was an interesting race to watch in terms of traffic interference. Do you think this is a good circuit for multi-class racing, or is it just always going to be tight and it should be included as an exciting addition to the season as it has been here?
Oh, I really love this track. It's got a great flow, and it's not. There's some tracks that just do not work out for multi-class, like the motorcycle tracks like Phillip Island and Jerez. Those are such long sweeping corners that conflict happens more often than it does at a track like Suzuka, I think. So I think Suzuka is a great addition to a season.
All right. Well, congratulations on the victory tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just want to thank my new team, Precision. Ended up using the Road Atlanta setup, and with a tiny tweak, it was really money tonight. So thanks, guys.
Well, congratulations on making it work and winning tonight, Paul, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Thanks very much. Paul Darling there, the winner tonight at Suzuka. In GTD, Ross Booth ended up taking the victory, his third of the season, and we can welcome Ross in now as well. Third win of the season, Ross. You must be very pleased, but of course the circumstances surrounding it maybe not as quite as dominant as some of the other rounds you've had so far this season. Just tell us your thoughts on that race, just as moments after it's finished. I mean, are you pleased with the win still, despite the fact that it was a battle that was unfortunately cut short with yourself and Alex Simonek?
Yeah, I think this race really started off in qualifying. The qualifying was super, super tight between I think the top 12 in GT3 was all covered by a second, to give you an idea. So just really hard to pass here, especially with the dirty air from the car that you're following. It's just you can't ever get a good run down one of these straightaways. You're just hoping they make a mistake. Fortunately for Alex, he did make a mistake and it worked out for me, but I was really hoping he'd stay clean, and I was interested to see how it was going to end there. But yeah, pretty happy with that.
I don't doubt that you are. I mean, how much of that qualifying session, you mentioned it was very important as far as the race goes, but how much in terms of this track versus the others? Because you've generally qualified towards the front and done well as a result, but does it matter just that little bit more around here?
Well, I think there's some sneaky off tracks that will make your lap not count, and so pushing to the edge sometimes here bites you. I had a couple of them in qualifying, and with it being such a long lap, you only get a couple chances at it throughout the qualifying session, so you got to really make those chances count. And yeah.
Well, congratulations for doing that here tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, just big shout out to Composite Performance, our sponsors, Tam Livery, Sim Labs, and Grid. I appreciate everything that they do for us, and a big shout out to Carter for putting on an awesome league.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Ross, on winning your third race in this league here this season, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much, Ross Booth there, the GTD winner tonight. Ahead, of course, of Joshua Wolf, who hangs on for GTD and victory. Welcome in, Joshua. Good to have you with us. Tell us about that battle between yourself, Parker Dime, and Austin Diltz there at the end. It was intense to watch. What was it like to be a part of?
It was definitely intense. Being up front there, I definitely fell off. I was struggling trying to find that front grip all practice, and decided I needed to try and make up some time on the pit stop, and took enough fuel, but not too much, and was able to jump those guys.
Yeah. How do you think you ended up with an 8-second shorter pit stop than Austin Diltz there, or sorry, 7.5 seconds more accurately? But that's a remarkable difference for just an hour-long race where you only require one pit stop. And so much so, I didn't think you were going to make it to the end on fuel or something. I thought you must have underfueled by at least a couple of laps to have managed that. First of all, what did you do to get your pit stop time down so much compared to everyone else? And what do you think because yours was the shortest bar one, what do you think he did as well to have his the longest and Parker Diamond's second longest as well? How do you think that even happened?
The only thing I know, I use different apps to watch my fuel, and I looked at iRacing's auto fuel number, and that was like 4 liters too much compared to what some of the other stuff was telling me, which I feel like was more accurate. So I just got rid of the iRacing one and went with what I was getting from other data.
Well, it certainly worked out in the end. Is there anyone I'd like to give a shout out to before I let you go?
No, I just thank Sector 5 for letting me run with them again, and my wife for letting me run this. I know it's been a long weekend for her. running the Petite on Saturday, and now this here. So, and thank you guys for putting on a great broadcast.
Thanks very much. Congratulations on winning GTD Am tonight, Joshua, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much, Joshua Wolf, there, the winner tonight in GTD Am at Suzuka. Well, Suzuka delivered, James, for round number 3. Fantastic race in the end. We're 3 rounds down with still plenty to go, still 11 rounds to go here every 2 weeks, apart from the one in which this round would fall on New Year's Eve. We're not racing then. But other than that, we'll be here every 2 weeks for the rest of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge. What a great start to the season it's been as well, especially these last 2 races. I mean, Daytona's always great, and that's expected. But rain at Watkins Glen and the different tyre choices being made, and some of the battles here tonight were extraordinary as well. This has been a wonderful first 3 rounds of the season.
Did I just hear Mr. O'Leary say that there was great racing on a circuit he didn't like all of a sudden?
Well,
has your opinion changed?
I said at the start, the only reason I didn't like Suzuka as a driver because I wasn't very good at it. But I feel like that is my problem.
That sounds like a you issue and a skill problem, Mr. O'Leary. I've got to be honest. But
exactly.
What about it now? You've seen some great racing. We've had great. Come on, you've got to admit that was absolutely awesome. What do you think of Suzuka? Has it remotely changed your opinion at all?
Not really, no.
Oh, okay.
Although, actually, I'll tell you what it has changed my opinion, actually. I'm always usually under the impression that multi-class traffic round here is a disaster, but actually tonight's shown that that has changed my opinion. Actually, this race has changed my opinion on that much. Not saying whether I now like Suzuka or not, but what I am saying is it's very much changed my opinion on multi-class racing because that element of it, especially in the first half an hour or so, was really good. It did fall apart a little bit in the last third of the race. However, everyone's getting a bit tired, and for us to have even got 30-40 minutes without any traffic incidents was remarkable. So that's what has changed my opinion on it. It's absolutely not a disaster. It's actually good racing to have multi-class at Suzuka. Who knew?
No, it has been really good. It surprised me a little bit, to be fair, because I thought there was going to be a lot more. But as you say, for the length of the fact that it was around about 35 minutes and then the wheels come off. But, overall, for both classes to make through past GTDs without any issues for the first time, fair play. Amazing. Great job from all of them on that one. So, bring on the next one.
Bring on the next one. Where, I hear you ask? It's Spa-Francorchamps in 2 weeks' time. We'll be back live from 8:30 Eastern time. Or is it 9:30? Sorry, 9:30, I should say. Sorry about that. Yeah, 9:30, roughly, Eastern time for Spa. Of course, one of the circuits in the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge used in every season, and there's no exception here in Season 14. So make sure you join us for that in 2 weeks' time. Between now and then, though, make sure you subscribe to the JP YouTube channel for all the other racing that goes on in the 14 days in between, and there is plenty for you to have a look at. For now, though, I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside James Parfitt. This has been round 3 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge from Suzuka. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time from Spa with the next one. Goodbye for now.